right, so I'm making my way to my buddy Jim's house in St. Clairsville, Ohio. Being in Ohio, coming across into western Pennsylvania, crossing the border, decided to come down through East Liverpool, Ohio. When I used to do Civil War reenacting, we used to do a reenactment out near Atwood Lake. But I thought what I would do is I would come the back way, overland to St. Clairsville, Ohio, and I come through a town called Cadiz, Ohio. Now, Cadiz is a very small town, but it is the county seat of some county, Harrison County? I don't know. I can't remember, because it's really not that important. What we're here to talk about today, again, history, but Donnie Eros, being in the motion picture industry, I thought you would find this very, very interesting. I'm here on the spot, February 1st, 1901, the birthplace of Clark Gable. So, Cadiz, Ohio is the birthplace of Clark Gable, and they went crazy over it. Now, this house that you see right behind me is a replica of the house that he was born and raised in. It actually just fell over because nobody really cared that this person was born here. I mean, he was Clark Gable, who was a movie star, and he moved away and actually never came back. Now, about 20 miles that direction is Steubenville, Ohio. The same situation happened there. Dean Martin was born and raised in Steubenville, Ohio, and I don't think he ever came back either. But what they decided to do is they put up a plaque to Clark Gable. And after they put up the plaque to Clark Gable, they had the Gable Foundation, and they used to have like little celebrations and stuff like that here, commemorations that turned into almost like a Gone with the Wind festival. And they would invite different celebrities that were still alive from Gone with the Wind. And the first time I came out here was in 1992, and Ann Rutherford was here, Fred Crane, Rand Brooks. I'm missing a couple other ones. John Clark Gable was here one year that I was here. It was, no, I don't want to tag. I don't know why that came up, but anyways, it was a lot of different celebrities that were here. I actually got to see Cammie King when she came here to Cadiz, Ohio, and Cammie King was a producer. I'm sorry, she wasn't a producer. She was a magazine editor, and she passed away. Patrick Curtis, who played Baby Bo, he's like some kind of producer who was married to Raquel Welch. But what was really, really interesting is, well, there's going to be a truck coming up behind me, so sorry about that. One of the problems that they have out here, not problems really, it's a good problem to have, is that they have kind of discovered oil out here. So there's a lot of oil trucks going by. But in the parking lot right over here is where they actually broke ground for this structure. So it was about 25 years ago. We were filming the ceremony over there. They put the golden shovels in the ground and they did the dirt. But we always saw that there was this monument here that the Gable Foundation put up to them. So that was dedicated in 1986. I'm not sure when the house was built, but it was built off of old photographs, probably some plans and stuff like that that some of the residents had around it. But let me spin the camera around. So again, it was a very, very small house, and it's now a museum. This was constructed by the Gable Foundation. So this is not the original house, but it is built to the same physical specifications as the original house was. Oh, there he is, Clark, looking out the window at us. And you can come here, and here's the contact information if you'd like to show up. And that's really all that there really was that I remember of coming out. Now, after he moved here, born here, he moved to Hopedale, I think, is where he lived for a little bit. Went off to Hollywood, wanted to become a star, became a star. Like I said, never came back, and understandably so. But what was really, really cool was coming out here for the many years that I'd come out to film these celebrities that would come out, and they would put their hands in concrete. I'm not sure if they ever made the memorial walk of the stars that had come out. Then at night they would have the 12 Oaks barbecue, and so the locals would come out and they would dress up in old-timey clothes and they'd dance around, and they'd have, again, so these celebrities would come and they would be kind of like celebrated for coming out, because Cadiz, it's an effort to come here to Cadiz. It truly, truly is. Now, my friend Jim Beal, oh, Paul, I'd love to come to Texas sometime. Sorry about that. Paul, I'd love to come to Texas sometime. I got to get down to Beaumont. That'll be lovely. I passed your brother's house yesterday when I was walking around. So, but But my friend Jim Beal told me about this ranch house. I think this is the house. It's behind the Gable house. And I think down there is where they have the Cadillac. So if Jim Beal is watching by any chance, because he knows I'm on his way to his house, on the way to his house. If he's on his way, then that'll be fine. But we're going to go ahead and drive up into, oh God, I got hair on my face. We're going to go ahead and drive up into town, so maybe there's something else to see. And I'll just keep this thing on and lock it into, what am I doing? I just saw them. How about that? Just asking about them. So like I said, they had all of the, they put their handprints inside it, sign it, and I wondered where it was, and this is some of those. Now, this had to have been from the first year that I came, because I can remember that the concrete was very, very wet. I figured whoever was there wasn't going to come out very well. And there's Cammie King, who played Bonnie, and I remember talking to her. Fred Crane, who played Brent Tarleton. Fred Crane and George Reeves were the Tarleton twins from the movie. And Fred used to always open the thing with the first line from the movie that I can never remember. Patrick Curtis, who was that producer, and he was married to Raquel Welch. And now we get down to Anne Rutherford. She played Corinne O'Hara. Anne was awesome, both Anne and Rand Brooks. And I absolutely enjoyed talking to these two about the golden age of Hollywood. Yes, George Reeves, Donnie, George Reeves, who did play Superman, was the other Tarleton twin, and along with Fred Crane. But Anne and Rand told me so much about the golden age of Hollywood, the studio system, living in the bungalow on the studio. They actually dated at one point, and Anne told the story about how one time they had a rift, and she dated somebody else. She went out with somebody else, and Rand come driving by, and just made a big fuss about revving the engine, like he was pretty upset. It was kind of cute. I'm talking so reverently, like these are their tombstones. And then Butterfly McQueen, and she put her hand in. Now, ironically, with the exception of Patrick Curtis, who is still alive, I do believe that all of these people are, I don't know who this person is. Again, if Jim Beal watches, to me that looks like Daniel Sasquatch. So I'm not really sure who that is, but I know Cammie King has passed away, Fred Crane passed away, Gainesville, Georgia, for those of you there, and Rutherford Rand Brooks. And then, of course, Butterfly McQueen was tragically, I think, killed in an accident involving fire. So that answers one of the questions. I was just asking about that. I remember they would always bring them out, but I think I was here for that very first one, and I'm trying to think who was here. And I remember it was kind of like putting your hands in porridge, and I went, God, that's not going to stick. Sorry about this, Donnie. I got to use my hands and see what Butterfly didn't know nothing about birthing babies, but she knew a lot about being able to put hands in concrete, a lot better than the first guy over there. So, anyways, so that's here where Clark Gable was born. And I don't think I need to get in the car. That's what I really wanted to see. And you saw where the number is on the front. You check out their little museum and stuff like that. I think there's just a lot of stuff inside. I'm not really sure, but I think clutter, I'm not necessarily sure how much of it is related to Clark Gable, because again, it was just an actor, and we kind of like have this idea and vision about a lot of those old Hollywood types, and a lot of that stuff isn't even around anymore. Like anything from like Laurel and Hardy, or the Marx Brothers, Vivian Leigh, Charlton Heston. I'm just trying to just spit out names of people, and Charlton Heston comes to mind because just with Easter being over, the Ten Commandments was on again, and it was so wild to watch the Ten Commandments. And being a big film guy, it's so wild to see how big those shots were and how long they let the camera linger, in movies like Gone with the Wind as well. So, but here in Cadiz, they don't do, to my knowledge, they don't do any of the Gone with the Wind or the Clark Gable celebration for his birthday. They used to do it at the beginning of February or end of January every year. I don't even know if the Clark Gable Foundation is still around, but it was a great time to come in the 80s, the 90s, and the early 2000s, when a group of people would gather in Cadiz, Ohio. They'd invite one or two people that were connected in some way to Clark Gable, and everybody just kind of like tried to bring old Hollywood to Cadiz, Ohio. And it really was cool. It was Americana. So.